Tonight on the Dorm Room Sports Chat, how the men's basketball team fared in their season finale with Arizona State.
We'll update you on how the baseball team did this weekend against Harvard.
Evan Murray and I sit down and dissect the men's basketball regular season.
It's always game night on the DRSC. We're going to play fill in the blank.
To the Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Annie Marham, alongside our three analysts, Derek Fasenden, Brittany McMorris, and Zach Clark. The Arizona men's basketball team took on their rival ASU this weekend, and the results, well, they weren't good. The Cats lost ASU 80-87 in a game where the defense just fell apart. We've got some questions for our analysts to get their opinion on what went wrong. Before we toss it to the panel, let's hear from Arizona Wildcat head coach Sean Miller after the loss to the Sun Devils.
Credit. I thought they played an excellent basketball game. There's always characteristics that you look for when you play an opponent, and especially in early March. Us both playing 17 games, you pretty much have in cement what you do well and what you don't. And they don't get to the foul line a lot, and they've struggled to make them. And they went 22 for 24 today. And I look at their three-point shooting. Jonathan Gilling was excellent, as was a lot of other players, but him 21 points and just the way they shot the three. They're a team that has turned the ball over throughout the course of the season, and they played 40 minutes with 10 turnovers. And you just go through every statistic offensively. We had a really hard time guarding them individually in the second half, guarding the post, and when they needed big shots, I really believe they made every one of them. And in a game like today, individual players and teams, playing at a high level, that's what March is all about. And I give credit to them. They were prepared, hungry together, and they earned their victory today.
Derek, ASU scored more than 76 points they haven't scored more than 76 points during the entire Pac-12 season until playing U of A, where they were able to put 87 on the board. That's the most that U of A has given up all season. Can you tell us what went wrong here?
Obviously, a lot went wrong. I think the better question is what went right, and almost nothing. Defensively, the Wildcats, obviously a smaller team, a smaller bunch, but I think the bottom line is ASU just got up for this game, and they're ready for Arizona to play. This was their Super Bowl. This was their championship game, and they showed it.
Well, what bugs me, though, I got to say about this is they played teams that, much smaller, like your Ball States. They didn't give up 87 to Seattle Pacific. I'm not sure I understand in a game that was so important how you could completely break down defensively like that. I know it was on the road, but was it really on the road? I was there. The stadium was split 50-50. There's no excuse for what happened on Sunday.
Right. Speaking of excuses, defense has always been a strength for the Wildcats. But Brittany, on Sunday, 3 ASU players scored 21 points or more. Is there any excuse for that?
Honestly, there's no excuse for that. We were not strong on our defense. So, it's just really pathetic, actually.
They let Jonathan Gilling score 25 points. This kid had no more than 6 all season.
Yeah, I'd say that's quite a bit above his season average there.
It's okay. ASU is only averaged 50-some points per game, and they scored 87 against us. That's just embarrassing.
All right, well, somehow the Wildcats still have a first-round bye this weekend in LA. They'll take on the winner of USC versus UCLA. That game will be Thursday night. Now, the Cats have beat out USC twice, but they split the series with UCLA. Zach, break down how the Wildcats will fare against either team.
Well, the problem that Arizona's going to run into right off the bat is no matter who wins that game, it's a team from Southern California. So the Wildcats will be playing a virtual road game, even though it is a neutral site game. The Wildcats would have a much better chance against USC that finished dead last in the conference. UCLA has big men, the Ware twins, plus Josh, guy who weighs way too much, Smith, thank you. Drew a blank there. Those big men create problems for Arizona, who plays in a guard-heavy lineup. So the Wildcats will have their work cut out for them against UCLA.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I don't think UCLA is flat out not a good matchup for Arizona, even though they beat them last time out.
Only by 2.
Yeah, only by 2, and that was at home. Then remember earlier they lost in LA this year. So Obviously, you want to play USC. Probably not going to happen. You're probably going to have to go against a UCLA team with the Ware twins, with Joshua Smith, and with a team that I think is, quite frankly, re-inspired because of these new reports that have come out against Reeve Nelson. I think the team has kind of rallied together, and I think they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, what's going to be problematic for the Arizona Wildcats going into the weekend, especially with UCLA, they swept Washington and Washington State in Southern California. Yep. Lazarick Jones, Pac-12 Player of the Week. It's so important to get hot at the right time in the postseason, and I'm afraid UCLA might have just done that, especially with Arizona coming off with a disappointing loss to Arizona State.
All right, well, the Arizona Wildcats will play the opening round winner, either UCLA or USC, on Thursday at Staples Center in Los Angeles. But get your peanuts and your Cracker Jacks ready. The DRSC heads to the ballpark when we return. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Derek Williams, your former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel.
UATV 3 UATV 3 When I turn on the TV, I turn it to channel 3, cause they got all the greatest shows that I've been waiting to see. It's entertaining to me, cause it's pertaining to me and all the other Wildcats in the student body. We're broadcasting live to all the residence halls, so all y'all's in the halls, turn your TVs on to channel 3 for Sheezy, so you can see me and all the other happy people down at UATV 3.
The Arizona Wildcats continued their winning ways this past weekend as they welcomed in the Harvard Crimson for a 3-game set. Arizona ran through Harvard, outscoring the Crimson 23-3 in the series en route to the Wildcats' first 3-game sweep of the year. Now, Derek, it looks like Arizona is finally starting to put it all together, now offensively, defensively, and with the pitching. What did Arizona do differently this past weekend rather than the other ones?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. I think if I could keep it to one sentence or one word, I think roles. They all have roles now, and I think you have Matt Troop that's now probably going to be the full-time closer. He's looked good as a freshman, still hasn't allowed a run yet. You have Heyer doing his thing. You have Connor Way doing his thing, and James Ferris got back to doing what he did very well. He went 7 innings and gave up 2 earned runs, which is a lot closer to what he did opening weekend when he had the complete game shutout. And then you have Trent Gilbert and Riley Moore, the 2 freshmen behind the plate and at second base, getting the job done as well. So I think these guys are feeling more comfortable playing at high Corbett, and it's just kind of the natural progression of the season, I think, is why this team is finally starting to play better.
Yeah, and Derek talked about Riley Moore and Trent Gilbert in their spots defensively, but if you look what they have done in the last couple weeks offensively, they have really added to that lineup, something that they both struggled with early in the first couple weeks, but both of those young kids are now hitting very effectively, and it's really boosted the Wildcats' offense.
All right, Brittany, well, 4 appearances now for freshman pitcher Matt Troop, and he still hasn't allowed a run. In fact, he actually picked up his first career save over the weekend. Is this guy for real?
You know what this guy is for real. He tops out at 94 and has a sick curveball, so pretty much I think he's our main man now.
I mean, he's got the tools, and that's what you want to see in a guy that's going to do his job.
Especially as a closer.
Exactly. And he's shown that he's not going to get rattled. I know it's still early, but still, right now what you're seeing from him is nothing but positive, especially when the Wildcats have been in the bullpen in the past, especially at the closer spot.
Yeah, well, not only does he have the tools, guys, but he's got the mental makeup to be a closer, and I think that's so important when you talk about closing out games and being able to get out of tight jams in tough situations. And not only that, he's got the Eric Gagne glasses. He's a big Eric Gagne fan.
We talked about
him. One of the best closers in MLB history.
We actually talked about that with him on Friday night, him and his glasses. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, well, freshman Joe Maggi started 2 games over the weekend at the designated hitter position in place of senior Bobby Brown. He's batting .500 now and playing pretty well. Zach, is this move a permanent one?
Boy, I don't know. You have to look at this point now. 500, 5 out of 10. Bobby Brown struggled. Maggi has done really well in a pinch. It's something that Derek and I talked about a little bit earlier, is Bobby Brown is great coming off of the bench. He's a fantastic pinch hitter. I think in the near future, this could be permanent, but if Maggi cools off a bit, things could change in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I do agree. I think this could be a permanent move. I think you're not going to see Lopez give up on a senior like Bobby Brown, though. He's been so clutch for this team in the past. This guy's got nice gap power, and he knows how to hit. Let's be honest. This guy's a senior. He will get his at-bats, but I think Lopez has a good problem in his hand. Maybe a platoon situation at the DH spot.
Right, well, the Arizona Wildcats won't get a long rest this week. They'll be back in action this Tuesday when they welcome in UC Davis for a brief 2-game series. First game will start Tuesday at 5 p.m. When the DRSC comes back, Evan Murray joins Zach to take a closer look at the men's basketball regular season.
I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Make no mistake, I don't do anything for free. I keep my enemies closer than my mirror ever gets to me. In this attitude, where do you feel the warmth of my gratitude? I get the feeling that it's 2 against 1, already fighting me, so what's another
one? As we talked before, the Arizona Wildcats regular season is over. 21-10 overall, 12-6 in the conference. Evan Murray joins us now. Evan and I were both at the game on Sunday. Evan, let's take a step back from what we saw, not only on Sunday, but from the entire season as well. And let's talk about this in a very broad spectrum for a moment. You've got some pros and cons from the season as a whole, and so let's get into that right now.
All right, well, let's start with the positive then. We had a very young team this year. We had Josiah and we had Nick, who... And
don't forget about Sadiki Johnson, who's no longer with them, too. That's all part of it.
Yes, that's true. So no longer have Sadiki Johnson, but I think it was very important this year with such a great recruiting class next year that Nick and Josiah got comfortable here at Arizona, and so they'll be more mature for next year.
So you think that having them being freshmen now will adjust the learning curve, for the kids for the kids who are going to come in next year? 4 freshmen in the class.
Absolutely. I think that's it can
only help.
Yeah, it can only help. They get more comfortable, let the new guys come in, be a little uncomfortable, still help them out, and maybe find a leader.
There you go.
But
we'll get to that.
That's in a little bit. Also, I thought we were very efficient on defense. We always played aggressive on that end, and then our 3-point shot was huge.
And Brendan Lavender is such a huge part of that.
Yeah, 52% from the 3-point line. Our team also leads the Pac-12 in 3-point percentage as well. So that definitely helped us out this year.
Yeah, and the Wildcats sometimes, live by the sword, die by the sword. But for the most part, with the 3-point shot, for the most part, Evan, it was a pretty successful strategy for the Wildcats.
Yeah, I'd say.
And part of it is the Wildcats, you talk about freshman Angelo Troll, not a ton of size, so the Wildcats forced to play a much more perimeter-based game because of their size.
Yep, a con.
And so, segue. Let's talk about some cons.
All right. Size obviously hurt us all year. We played teams that are bigger than us, so we have to rely on our guards to drive. And even then, we didn't get as much aggressiveness as we really wanted, such as Nick Johnson.
Nick Johnson, I think, and when Nick Johnson was aggressive, Evan, he oftentimes was not able to finish, which is fine if you can knock down both of your free throws consistently, which is another thing that they struggled with.
Yep, they got to the free throw line a lot. Well, we were second in getting to the free throw line in the Pac-12, but 4th in percentage. So
a year ago, this is a team that led the conference in both of those statistics. You lose Lamont Jones, you lose Derek Williams. Huge as far as aggressivity and then the ability to finish.
Yep. And our size.
And speaking of size, that'll change. Angelo Troll's development has been pretty impressive. And also, you bring in a guy like Caleb Tarzuski, a true 7-footer. You're going to lose Jesse Perry, but I think there should be some balance there.
Right. And then another con that we had this year was no leader.
And that's a big one. That's something, Evan, that you and I talked about all season long. As the season began, we talked, how will this team establish themselves? How will a leader emerge? And we kept talking about when was it going to happen and how is it going to happen? And that's a question that we still have, even though we are knocking at the door of the conference tournament, a question we still have not answered today.
Yep, nope, no leader. So.
And that's Evan, that's gonna have to change as the Wildcats go through here now, needing a couple wins at least, if not all 3, in the conference tournament, and then to build up to win in the big tournament if they do get there. It's very hard to do without a leader.
completely. And we've been searching for it, still haven't found it. Hopefully, something will come of it. But and then another con, Kevin Parham.
Lots of cons. Yeah, injury I think was a big one. You lose Kevin Parham not once but twice. Jordan Mays goes down for a couple of weeks. The Wildcats just unlucky, I suppose, as far as things like that are concerned, especially with what happened to Kevin, which I'm going to get into here in a minute. What happened to Kevin before the season even started.
Right.
So now we've looked at it from a very macro standpoint. Let's go micro here. We're going to talk specifics. We'll start with the good stuff. Highlights for me, the Red-Blue game was one of them. That was how the season kicked off. The Ring of Honor ceremony for Chase Budinger and Derek Williams was fantastic. They dropped the Elite Eight banner. It was very exciting. A lot of alumni back. It was during the lockout. Yep. So a very exciting time and a chance for people to get a look at the new freshmen that we talked about earlier. That was a big one for me. The Wildcats between January 26th and February 25th went 8-2 in the conference, going 3-1 on the road. That was huge. Of course, the Wildcats' inability to finish will be their downfall. We'll get to that in a minute. And I think for me, my favorite part of this season was game day. I mean, that was a ton of fun. You joined me for those days and those events, and that was a ton of fun. Great atmosphere, great for the program. You know, it was unfortunate the Wildcats. Unfortunate they weren't able to win that game. Right. You know, I'll talk about that in a second. Their close losses that they had this season. But it was just great to have those guys in town and to have a national spotlight shown on a program, which I think is, you know, on its way up. Yeah,
right. And I think for the fans more than anything, that type of atmosphere needs to be brought to McHale because our attendance is great, but that energy was unreal. And I think for a lot of the, I mean, at least for the morning time too, the fans got to see a little bit more of the players.
Yeah, you know, an interview with Sean Miller, which you hardly ever see with him not wearing a suit and tie. You know, he came out in the sweatpants and the jacket. Nick Johnson and Kyle Fogg played a newlywed type game. So that stuff was great. I mean, that whole event, I think, was my favorite. On a more personal note, the return of Kevin Parham for the first time against Ball State, that little moment there in itself with the big hug from Sean Miller at the exit. I mean, things like that were just, you know, those are the things that you want to focus on when you look back on a positive note at the 2011-2012 season. But I've got some lowlights as well. I mean, it has to be said. And we'll segue right back with Kevin Parham, not only losing him before the season due to being a gunshot, a wound afflicted to not only his knee but his hand as well. His mother passed, and then after he does make a comeback on his way up, you know, goes down for the season against Washington, and so you know his struggles were definitely at the heart of the lowlights for Arizona. I also Jordan Mays, which we talked about, just the injury bug in general. The loss to Seattle Pacific at McHale, another lowlight. You lose to a Division II school in Tucson to open the season, even though it was an exhibition. That one stung a little bit. I remember somebody asked Sean Miller at the end of the press conference, have you ever lost an exhibition game? And he looked at the guy and said, no, I don't think so, and kind of laughed and stood up and walked away. It was very unusual. The loss to Arizona State is one I think people focus on the most. At the end of the season, they let the 11th best team in the conference score 87 points. I mean, I talked about pros as a defensive team, but they didn't show up there. They didn't have it. Nope. They didn't have it last night. Their 80 points was not enough again to beat the 11th best team in the conference. Right. And then we'll stop the bloodshed here, but I've got one more. Close losses, an overtime loss on the road at Florida. They lost by 2 at home to Oregon, 1 at Colorado, and then by 2 at home against Washington. If you look, that's 4 right there. That would have moved the Wildcats to 25-10 had they won all 5 of them. You split them. It could have been at least 23 or 24 wins. Those close losses, Evan, were brutal. Oregon, Colorado. Arizona had chances to win both of those games, unable to do so. Very hard to watch things like that. Yeah, those are the ones you really remember. Forget the ones that we won. I know, right? I always remember the close losses. Right, and those are the ones that people will remember. And, especially, Evan, if the Wildcats don't qualify for the NCAA tournament, it's those moments that we will look back on, and we will know why. Yep. When we come back, don't go anywhere. Everybody's favorite time, it's game time. Stay with us.
No one watched it on Wednesday. No. Talk show on Wednesday, UA Tonight. No. You didn't? No.
Highland burritos are going off the menu? Yeah. Why am I going to school?
right, it's that time again where our analysts get to have a little fun. This week, we're going to play fill in the blank. I'll give a statement, and each one of our analysts will choose their word that they see fit. All right, first one. The Wildcats will win blank many games in the Pac-12 tournament.
Anybody want to start with
Yeah,
that
this
one?
one's easy. This is easy. 3, baby. They're
Oh,
going.
yeah.
They're going.
Wow.
Yeah. They haven't done it in
Wow.
like 10 years. They're due. They're due. They didn't really do it under the Lute Olson era, but they need it now. They're going. They're going.
All right, I'm going to say 1 because whatever I say, I always get jinxed, so I'm going to go with 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 1. I'm gonna say 1 as well. Unfortunately, I do see Arizona beating UCLA or USC for that matter, but Washington lurks on Friday, and it's not been good news for Arizona. So I'm gonna go with 1. I like Derek's enthusiasm though. 3. I like that. We going.
3, baby. 3.
All right, the Wildcats have blank chance of getting an invitation to the NCAA tournament.
Wow, I'm going to go with, this is kind of weird for me. I mean, either 100%.
You have to say 100.
I have to say 100% because
Yeah,
I'm
you
saying
have
3.
to.
But if they don't make it, I'm going to say 1%. And that's just because what if, the selection committee kind of all perishes and then, all UA alums.
If they make a typo?
I think they're going to actually
make a
feel
typo,
bad for them.
Oh.
No one feels bad
so
for
then
Arizona.
Are you serious? I feel bad for them.
They're a
This team-
dynasty. Does anyone feel bad for the Lakers?
What is it, Brittany? What are the chances?
0.
Ooh.
0. Wow.
0. It's going to be Washington.
Cold-blooded.
Yep.
Zach?
Yeah. I'm gonna say 50%. I think that's how 50% is about how confident I am that they'll win the tournament. And I think if they don't win the tournament, they don't get in.
Cool.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right, well, before that, we'll start with the basic. The men's basketball team's biggest weakness is, and I said one word. Try and limit it if you can.
One word. I'm going to go inconsistency. They'll play great one game, they'll lay an egg the other. And I think the ASU game was a big example of that. But I also think they have the potential to make a big run in the tournament. So even if they do win the tournament, inconsistency will still be their biggest problem.
I'm going to go along with that and say defense. We saw in the ASU game. Obviously, we couldn't get the job done there.
I think Arizona's defense is important. And you saw why when they lost to Arizona State by 7 on Sunday. 87 points is ridiculous. If Arizona can't play defense, they can't win games. So, there.
Yep, that's pretty true.
So we had defense, inconsistency.
No, I said their defense is important.
Important.
My word was important.
But that wasn't the question.
But I mean, I think they're all kind of the same thing.
Their defense is blank. Important.
Their weakness is defense. Their defense is important.
Their weakness is
We'll
important.
let you take
I
that
make
one.
up my own rules and hear my own questions, and so I answer the question the way I heard it.
That works for me. All right. Well, speaking of that, it's time for, I guess you viewers at home, you're the winners.
How could they not be?
Congratulations. Thanks for watching. All right. Let's take a look at scores from around the school. All right, Shelby Babcock earned the Wildcats their first no-hitter of the season in a 3-game sweep, outscoring Charleston 22-0. UA Swim came in relatively modest 3rd place at the Pac-12 tournament in Los Angeles, and the Arizona women's tennis team is still undefeated at home, posting a 7-0 mark at the Robson Tennis Center this season. It's time for the final word. Each one of our analysts will have 30 seconds to discuss their topic of choosing. I'm going to toss it up to Derek. Your 30 seconds starts now.
All right, yeah, I'm going to stay with the NBA, and I'm going to call out my Lakers. They are looking good, baby. I was counting them out 4 weeks ago. That win against the Heat really showing something. They, by the way, are tied for 3rd in the Western Conference. They've moved up 3 spots in 2 weeks. So Kobe still got it. You know what? The masked Mamba still has it.
Still the 2nd best team in LA.
Go Lakeshot. That's not true, actually.
That's still true. You got 5 seconds to defend yourself. You left 5 seconds on the clock.
I let them defend themselves. I don't know anything.
You LA people are obsessed with the Lakers.
Oh, see.
All right, Brittany, go ahead and take your 30 seconds starting now.
I'm going to start with our UA football team. Today was the first day of spring practice, so let's hope that went well with Rich Rod. And then I'm going to say that I am losing my voice, and I don't know why. I'm not sick. I feel fine. I woke up one morning, and I'm losing my voice. So if you guys have remedies, please let me know, because I'm suffering.
If you want to call her phone number is... No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Or you can find her at the
You
rec.
sound great, though. You sound great.
Thanks. I try.
Oh, Zach, you're so nice.
I do what I can.
All right, Zach, your 30 seconds starts now.
I know that everyone wants to hear me talk for 30 seconds. I'm going to really bum everybody out at home. But there are few people more eloquent than professional bowlers. Take a look.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it!
That's number 5. Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Get it right.
Pete Weber, I couldn't have said it any better myself. I mean, come on. I don't know what the guy's so excited about. Yeah, he won a tournament, but he's won a ton of tournaments. Already a PBA Hall of Famer. I don't know what's going on. But the best part for me in that video, the embarrassment on his wife's face.
Oh my
Good
gosh.
Lord. You want to go home to that guy? I don't think so.
Nope.
Well, I wouldn't want to go home to him because he's a bowler.
Oh, that's what
Derek!
I'm just saying.
Hey, what's wrong with bowling?
Wow.
What?
Just saying. You can do a lot cooler things than go bowling.
Oh my goodness, good luck
Really?
on your date tonight when
Yeah,
you say
hope
things
he's not a
like that.
bowler.
Wow.
Oh, by the way, I'm in the bowling club. I hope that's not a problem. That's how it starts.
All right, that is going to wrap up tonight's show of the Dorm Room Sports Chat. You guys have a great spring break, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. For Zach, Derek, and Brittany, I'm Annie Marham.